Dude, I want to talk about this because this may be just better than sliced bread.
It's okay. Sliced bread it is.
Well,
Tell me what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about this recent concept that Mercedes put out there. And this has been one of the aspirational vehicles for me for a very, very long time. I'm talking about the G-Class, the G-Wagon Mercedes. But this
Okay.
is something else.
That's right. This is something completely different because it is a concept only so far. A concept all-electric G-Wagon.
And they call it the EQG wagon. In this video, we're going to let you know everything that we know about this, and also answer this question: should they build it? Would we like to buy it? Yes or no? At the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, this we have some images of this.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of hard data, hard specs, because this is a concept, right? But we do know, what it looks like, the concept itself. Mm-hmm. So where should we start?
Well, I think we should break it down first of all. For those of you who might not know what a G-Wagon is, quickly talk about what the G-Wagon currently is, what it was, and then more importantly, what it could become with this. And we'll talk about its design as well. So why don't we just kick the ball off and start with that part.
Totally, dude. It used to be a military vehicle, right?
That is correct.
It came actually from the 70s. Mm-hmm. And as with a lot of other legendary off-roaders, Unimogs, Jeeps, etc., it had military roots, right?
That's right.
And then it kind of grew up from there and became civilian, right? And there were still, diesel-powered small vehicles that were very capable, true off-road capability.
That is correct. There were a lot of them that were racing in Dakar and Rally Raid and participating in rescue operations and in military operations for many, many years.
Yes, and then they became luxurious, right?
Yeah.
So in the 90s, 2000s, etc., and this is where kind of my aspiration came in, because still, and to this day, 2021 G-Wagon, G550, starts at $131,000.
Right.
It's wonderful. It's V8 powered, right? It's got, lockers front and rear. It's got great capability, great design. It's still unobtainium for me.
Yeah, the funny part is that a majority of them are cruising around Beverly Hills and will never get dirty.
Yes.
Or Dubai, and it's a weird thing with that vehicle because to me, it's a block. It's a box on wheels. I know they're fantastic off-road. I've actually driven in military versions of them, including an ambulance version, which was really cool. And there's been a lot of gray market ones that are originally out there. And then, now, of course, Mercedes has been putting them out there. They now have a new version of the vehicle, which has a front independent suspension, solid rear axle, very different underpinnings than the old ones, but still extremely capable off-road.
So what they did was they took this most recent G-Wagon, right, G-Class, and they electrified it, but also changed the styling of it just a little. It's still very recognizable as a G, right? But this EQG concept, they're using a design element they called, in the press release, Mercedes.
Yes, please.
They called it the Squircle. What is that?
It's similar to a squiggle, which was a square bagel, but this is a squircle, so it's circular and square at the same time. Germans have an unusual sense of humor, and that's exactly where this term came from, and we just laugh along with them and really hope that they don't ever do another joke again.
And where this really came from is because the front grille element, first of all, it's folded in, it's backlit, and they have these rounded squares everywhere. In the grille, in the lower portions of the grille, they have them actually in the back. It doesn't have a spare tire, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
It has this squircle-shaped carrying case.
One of the purposes behind that could be to store your charge cable, which would be really cool, actually. But then again, some of you guys are like, wait a minute, if I'm going off-road, I really want a spare tire back there because I'm going off-road and I might blow a tire. Yeah, I agree. Now, these are, 22-inch wheels? They're utterly massive.
Yes, so I'm not sure why, because this is not really an off-road look in my opinion. They put these monoblock wheel style.
Yeah.
So it used to be, the Mercedes from the 80s and the 90s, the sedans especially, had these beautiful monoblock wheels.
Yeah, I remember those.
And this has a similar style, although tweaked a little bit.
Massive.
But it doesn't, I mean, it kind of says futuristic, but it doesn't really tell me that it's an off-road vehicle because the profile of the tires is small.
Yeah, they are. So this is also a concept vehicle. A lot of concept vehicles would have massive wheels and skinny tires, and then later on that changes. So that is possible. Now, bear in mind, we are not suggesting that this will be a actual
production vehicle.
Yeah. However, Mercedes recently said that they're doing electric first and then all electric possibly by 2030.
Yeah, so what this suggests to me is that kind of a gradual process, right? They're going to phase in some electrified models like they're already doing, right now. And then eventually they want to transition to electricity alone. But what better way to do it rather than in a square off-roader?
Yeah, and on top of that, this is not the first time they've built a square, well, no, I wouldn't say square, a capable electric off-roader. A little while ago, not that far back, they built the EQC 4x4 square concept. I know the word square is just crazy. Or the term square, I should say. So this was an off-roader that was based on the EQC platform, and they put portal axles on this thing, and it was insane. And
they lifted it and made it wider. Yeah, big tires.
Big tires. Well, the portal axle immediately gives you a lift, and it was just nuts. The thing about it was kind of showing people, yes, indeed, we can go off-road with this type of setup. So I think that what we're looking at here is sort of the second phase of that idea of we can do off-road and we can do fully electric, which brings to mind a question. What other vehicles would this compete against, let's say, if it came out in the next year or two?
Well, you know what's coming within 2 years. It's a SUV version of the GMC Hummer electric.
Okay.
So everybody knows that the electric truck is already out there. The prototypes are running around.
Yeah, it's going to be hitting the dealerships soon.
It should be. They still say this year.
Okay.
So within 3 or 4 months of this year, at the very end of 2021, the truck is supposed to hit. The public.
Right.
But they also have the SUV, the Hummer, GMC Hummer SUV. It's going to be fairly expensive too.
Oh yeah.
Between $70,000, $80,000, and $90,000.
It'd probably go right up against this.
Yeah. So, and what GM is doing, and what Mercedes is doing. By the way, we do have a little bit of information on this EQG because they say it has 4 motors, and also two-speed transfer case or gearbox, they call it.
Yeah, which is a little unusual because you would think that they would, 1 motor per wheel, right?
Right, that's what it sounds like too. But something that's Rivian is doing, which is another competitor to this, because the R1S is the SUV that's coming soon.
That's right.
What Rivian has done is that they actually put 4 electric motors into the chassis, but they're inboard. So think about it like in the center of the vehicle.
That's right. And actually, our friend Emmy Hall got a chance to drive one of those off-road and told me about it, and actually said it was a pretty good setup.
Yeah, and what they can do, they can control each motor separately. Right. So you have true 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. They can even reverse it for tank turns, right?
That's really cool, yeah.
So that's really cool. And also, I think this is where Mercedes is coming from, the reduction. And I've seen a Bollinger. Remember, I went to their factory.
Right.
With their prototypes.
Yeah.
And what they can do is they can actually build a gearbox together in the same case with the motor or the motors. So you can kind of reduce the gearing and crawl easily.
Which would increase your torque ratio, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so I think Mercedes maybe is on the same track, in thinking along these lines.
Well, they've already done it with the portal axle, so why not have it with something independent? And that makes a lot of sense. So we're talking Rivian, we're talking GMC, anybody else in there?
Well, company that may be more affordable vehicles, Jeep.
That's right. Jeep is talking about building an electric.
Right. They showed the Magneto concept. Remember, you were there.
That's right.
In Moab.
Well, I drove one.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm really jealous.
But that concept is not as realistic as the other ones that are probably going to happen. The point is that Jeep was able to put an electric motor directly onto a 6-speed manual transmission, which
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
But all of the gearing, all of that stuff remained the same as it would with a gas vehicle. And it was a proof of concept. So what they were able to show is that indeed you can put an electric motor on here and drive it around on city streets and seriously off-road, and it will work. So I think that might be some sort of a mix of what we could expect in the future from Jeep.
Yeah, and all of these are off-road capable. The GMC Hummer, off-road intent because it's highly lifted.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
it's
look
got
at the
four-wheel
thing.
drive capability. GM is actually putting 3 motors, not 4. So 2 motors in the back and 1 motor in the front, feeding both front wheels.
That's on the top-end version, right?
Yes, and then Jeep actually, remember the other rendering they showed, computer-generated video is where a couple is hiking in the mountains, and the electric Wrangler, they tell it where to go, and it drives there by itself off-road.
Yeah, it's like cruising next to him at one point.
Yeah.
It's a little unnerving, but
Oh, and it also goes underwater.
yeah,
Or something like that.
or something along
That's
those lines.
crazy stuff.
Yeah, but
Futuristic stuff.
It's futuristic stuff, and it's fun to make people dream. And in fact, speaking of that, Jeep also showed them sleeping in a Jeep while
it's
it was
moving.
driving on its own and going off-road, and they're looking at stars. Trust me on this, you don't want to be laying down when you're going off-road in Moabs, but whatever.
Okay.
So here's the final bit of this thing. Now, as we said, this is a concept, but are we for electrification? Wow, I can't speak. In upcoming off-roaders, are we for that?
I am.
Absolutely.
Well, I cannot afford a current G-Wagon.
Yeah.
I will never afford this one,
No.
probably.
No.
But I am for it.
The one thing that after driving that Jeep, I learned is instantaneous torque. I know a lot of you guys are like, well, yeah, good luck recharging that thing when you're off-road. They're thinking about this, obviously. I'm just talking about the idea of it, and perhaps combining this with other gas-powered off-roaders that are already out there, and hybrids. The idea of having 300 or 400 pound-feet of torque immediately available when you're crawling over a rock is really cool. That's the part I like.
And what I love, and I'm kind of a tech nerd.
Yeah,
right?
you are a tech nerd.
Having 4 motors, like in this case of this concept, you can control each one of them individually.
Yeah.
Which means, it's good on-road. You can do torque vectoring around corners. It's good off-road because you can carefully control your traction.
I mean, it would be the ultimate traction control if you think about it.
Exactly.
It literally is traction
And
control.
you don't even need lockers because
No.
each motor is working for you.
Right, and oh my God, I mean, could you imagine what it may be able to climb? Obviously, with better tires than those.
Yes. So I'm for it. It sounds like you're for it.
I'm all for it.
Let us know what you think. Are you guys for this? I mean, assuming it's somewhat affordable, right?
Right, and the caveat is, keep in mind, I'm referring personally to, yes, that combined with all the other stuff that's out there, I think it would be awesome.
There you have it, guys. And as always, go back to TFLoffroad.com and TFLcar.com for all the latest news.
See you next time.